This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the place to go to if you want to set up your own slick-looking website or online store. Not too long ago, I got the chance to test out the DJI Action 4, DJI's latest action camera, which I took to Tokyo. Right, slight change in scenery because I am on my travels and I have brought DJI's latest incarnation of their action camera, the Action 4. What is new? Because it does look pretty similar, doesn't it? Now, with the Action 3, it was a return to form of the more likeable camera body, more useful, a battery which you could replace. Action 4 stays the same, it looks pretty much the same, albeit with a bigger sensor. I mean, with the slightly bigger sensor, the image does look, well, slightly better, especially in low light, less noise. Comparing the Action 4 with the previous Actions, you can see a significant step up when it comes to producing cleaner low-light files. That, with the better-looking dynamic range and crisper video, along with amazing stabilization, makes it a great little camera, not just for action videos. Which sounds great, and it is pretty good, it seems. But then, GoPro go and release the Hero12. GoPro, start recording. DJI versus GoPro, the fiercest battle in town. Just don't bring drones into the equation. One of the big attractions of the DJI Action since the second gen is the magnetic mounting system for quick accessory changes. The GoPro Hero12 still takes time to screw and unscrew, but even though the Hero12 is also taller than the Action 4, it still sits lower when attached to the mount. Plus, those flappy attachment things fold away to reveal a standard 1/4 inch tripod thread. Handy. Now, even though DJI's action camera is called Action, when you think of action cameras, you think of GoPro because they pretty much started off and they've been doing it for a really long time. But I've been using DJI action cameras for quite some time now, since the original Action. So GoPro hasn't exactly been on my mind when it comes to action cameras. But let's give the 12 a chance because I think this seems pretty interesting. But how does it compare? Let's find out. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, let's turn on the stabilization before I get blown away. Okay, DJI call it Rocksteady and GoPro call it Hyper Smooth. Personally, I find that GoPro's touchscreen is not quite as sensitive as DJI, so sometimes it requires that extra press because the first press doesn't quite get it. There's a very slight pause before something happens. With DJI, it's pretty much instant. In terms of the menu, the interface, pretty much easy to use. Although I'd say I probably prefer the GoPro interface. It's just, I don't know, easier to understand than those. Anyway, GoPro, start recording. Oh, okay, they both work. There's not too much to separate them. They both have time code, can be used for live streaming. The Action 4 has the ND filters, you can get Polar Pro filters for the GoPro. Both have custom presets, but a couple of the perks of the DJI Action 4 is that it's got a separate flap for the USB-C so you can charge it without opening the battery flap, and also it's got a touch front screen which can be a bit fiddly given the size, but still, it's got it. Yeah, so anyway, the reason why I took the DJI Action 4 for vlogging in Tokyo is because of the stabilization. But how does it compare with the GoPro's Hyper Smooth? I'm just walking in a minute and I'll tell you what, it is pretty windy, so you probably get an idea of what the mic is like, the internal mic, that is. So you probably get an idea of what the mic is like, the internal mic, that is. So this is what it sounds like with the wind reduction off. So this is what it sounds like with the wind reduction off. And this is with the wind reduction on, and the Action 4 is about to run out of batteries. And this is with the wind reduction on, and the Action 4 is about to run out of batteries. Now both of them have got free internal mics. In terms of the sound quality, honestly I think the GoPro isn't quite as nice sounding as the DJI, but you know, it's all up to personal preference, isn't it? But one thing the GoPro does have is the ability to connect to your Bluetooth earphones. So you can always use your earphones, like your AirPods, as a mic and still pick up the ambient sound, which is not bad, is it? Let's try running with the cameras. Let's see what stabilization is like when I'm running. Stabilization looks really quite similar. Whether it be Rocksteady or Hyper Smooth, they're both hyper steady. So at the minute I've got both of them on linear, just to
get some nice straight lines.
On linear, the GoPro is looking just a little bit tighter with a field of view.
But what if I try its widest? Now the DJI Action 4's widest is ultra wide, which is sort of an 11mm equivalent. The GoPro is hyperview, which is 12mm. But when it's got hypersmooth and stabilization, whatever it's called, applied, how much field of view do you get? This is at both of their widest with hypersmooth or rock steady.
Their widest is, well, wide. Very wide. There's a little bit of a difference in wideness, but I'd say the Action 4 has the best looking widest. It looks wider, and it's wider with less fisheye-like distortions, which the Hero12 has plenty of using hyperview. You get less of that distortion when using superview, but of course you lose a lot of that wideness.
Another thing to add is if you like it wide, the GoPro has got a max lens mod 2.0, and that's what they call it. Action 4 on D-Warp and GoPro on linear. One thing with the GoPro is that you've got a linear plus, which is adds the horizon lock as well. Action 4 has got something similar, but not quite as good.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you want to set up your own domain, online retail space or website, it's super simple to get started and make your next move with Squarespace. With an easy to use interface filled with loads of templates and backed up with 24/7 customer service. You can try it out with a 14-day free trial and get 10% off your first order with this link and discount code.
One thing that makes GoPro's horizon lock that bit more special is the fact that the imaging sensor that they use is a bit more different to conventional ones as seen in Action 4. It's an 8:7 aspect ratio, so they can kind of be a bit more flexible in which part of that 8:7 frame that they use.
Yes, 8:7 sensor, so understandably the wide lens actually looks best in 8:7, even 4:3. 16:9 is obviously cropped but has stuff crammed in hyperview, which can look a little odd. Still, horizon lock is cool.
Which means you can rotate it at ridiculous angles and it's still going to use part of that 8:7 frame to keep that horizon straight. It still looks alright. Wait. You can have the camera upside down. Look at that. That's bonkers. Now the DJI Action 4 can only go up to 45 degrees when you're shooting 4K, which is, you know, about that. And after that, what happens? And the GoPro, of course you can just do that. And it's still fine.
The Action 4 can do a full 360 roll and keep the horizon level in horizon steady mode, but that's only 2.7K and 1080, and it moves around more. GoPro rules here. In terms of the actual image quality, although they both offer up 10-bit video recording with log profiles, the biggest sensor of the Action 4 simply produces better looking video. The details are just so much more, well, detailed.
Unsurprisingly, there's a benefit to a bigger sensor, but with a bigger sensor, you probably have a higher chance of overheating.
A few days before the trip to Tokyo, I used this during the shoot for the DJI Air 3 video, in car and also out of car. But in car, one thing worth noting is that it did overheat. Mounted on the windscreen, which is a bit of a toasty place to put it, the Action 4 ran for 14 minutes 22 seconds continuously before it conked out and needed an ice bath. Despite having a bigger sensor than the Action 3, the 4 does last longer before cutting out due to overheating, but it doesn't last as long as the 2, strangely. But when you compare it to the GoPro Hero12 Black, well, it doesn't really compare. The GoPro wouldn't overheat. It stopped when the battery ran out. Certainly, GoPro seems to have done something. Well, they've taken out the GPS, that is. Well, the Action 4 doesn't have built-in GPS either. Really, there are clear and obvious reasons to get the Action 4 or the Hero12 Black. I wouldn't say one is vastly better than the other. The DJI has the better image, sharper, less noise, less distortions, better internal mic sound. The GoPro has better continuous recording performance, although with overheating it all depends on when you use it and how you use it. Like, if you're mounting it on a fast moving thing, the wind will probably keep the camera cooler. Still, the fact is the GoPro can last longer. The DJI lasted just 7 minutes and 36 degrees C no
shade heat in Tokyo. The GoPro also has some useful flexibility with an 8x7 sensor, but it all boils down to what is useful to you for an action camera. For me, as useful sounding as the long recording times are, I think I'll keep the DJIs because of the mounting system and the image quality. Simple as that. Whoa, what's going on there?